Hello everyone, and welcome back to another speed building video. So today we are going to be building a set of townhouses inspired by British Columbia and their townhouses. So if that sounds like something you're interested in watching, then make sure you grab yourself a drink, a snack, a blanket, get comfy, and let's get right on into it. So yeah, like I mentioned, this is a set of townhouses. Pretty much when I went away, I guess like a month or two ago for a wedding, and in Canada, it was in Canada, and I stumbled upon this more, I guess, craftsman-esque kind of style of buildings. And while that's not one I'm usually, I guess, drawn to, something about it this time was definitely giving, I want to build that in The Sims. And so that's exactly what I've decided to do. I did use reference, but I used reference as like Google Street View, and since it feels kind of weird to put like a screen cap of the Street View up on the the screen, I don't think I'm gonna do that just because it feels like a little bit of an invasion of privacy, you know. So just for that sake, I'm not going to do that, but yeah, you can just take my word for it that it's like fairly accurate, I guess. And yeah, so pretty much they end up being like opposite townhouses, kind of that vein, I guess. So on the left hand side, well, right now it's the right hand side, but on the left hand side we end up having this beigey warm toned house, and then on the right hand side we end up having a blue house. And so on the left hand side, well, of course, let me just say I do have storylines in mind for these Sims, which I will be getting into and I will be sharing those. But just as a little, I guess, overview first, is that there's gonna be a warmer toned house on the left hand side and a cooler toned house on the right hand side. And the left hand side, the warm toned house, ends up having, I think it's 4 Sims. I think we have 2 adults, a teenager, and a child Sim. And then the house on the right, the blue house, that ends up having 3 Sims, 2 adults, and 1 teenager. And I really like the storyline that I came up with for this. It's not the most creative, I guess, like it's definitely been done before, and I'm kind of just basing it off of the Taylor Swift music video You Belong With Me, where they write letters to each other and they have like windows facing each other, because I just think that's such a cute idea. And so that's kind of like the main selling point of this storyline, I guess, is like the 2 teenager Sims end up having rooms, I guess, like right across from each other, and they like their windows face each other, and I feel like it's a little love story, which I think is so cute. And yeah, that's, I guess, the overview of the plot, but I can give you like in-depth personalities once we move on into the interior and start doing their rooms and stuff. But you can see now that I've kind of finished up with the shell of the house. So they each end up having like 2 stories. I wanted them to feel kind of similar, but also with their own little unique twists, I guess. And so for that, I have like a couple of different little bump outs on each side, but like they each have that chimney, and I guess the stairs are both on the right hand side of the deck, and they each got a car. I use like the same fence and stuff. I tried to use the same type of siding on each building, but just change up the colors a bit so it would feel more cohesive that way, because I did want it to feel like these houses were built by the same company, I guess, so they're cohesive that way. Oh, unless I don't use the same wallpaper, but I was fairly certain I do. I'm just gonna see what's happening. I think that I end up using the same shingles. So the shingles I'm using are from like the shingles on the walls, not on the roof. Those are from Growing Together, and then the wood siding I used, I guess the one on the warm toned house, that is from Horse Ranch, and the one on the blue house, that is from Cats and Dogs. So the paneling isn't the same, but the shingles are, and same with the roof paint. And then Something I did that I really loved is I took this growing together brick, and it comes in a warmer toned stone and a cooler toned stone, and so I used the same brick on both sides. I just switched up who got what tone, I guess, if that makes sense. So the warm house got the warmer toned one and the cool house got the cooler toned one, which I mean, pretty self-explanatory. And yeah, so in terms of windows and stuff, I'm actually kind of blanking on what I end up using, so I guess I'll get back to that as soon as I start putting those in. It's been a hot minute since I've done a voiceover, and I feel like I say that in every voiceover, so you'll have to forgive me if you're like binging all my videos. Well, first off, thank you, but if you're binging my videos and you keep hearing me say that, I do apologize, but it's pretty true every time I say it. Yeah, it's just been a while since I've done a voiceover because I've just been doing long plays and stuff, and for that, you know, I just kind of build and tune myself out while I talk, and then the video's done. But for this one, I have to come back and try to remember things, and I think I've kind of discussed this, but I'm not very good at remembering things, and especially when there's like a video happening and I'm watching it and I'm talking, and you would think I'm registering what I'm watching, but the fact that I'm talking cancels out whatever I was going to be registering. I don't know if that makes any sort of sense to any of you, but pretty much I don't know what's happening, even though I've built this house myself, and you know, I'm watching the footage, I will forget things inevitably, so I'm just kind of gonna let them happen, and then I'll talk about what I've done. But yeah, so I tried to add a couple of little extra details like these, I'm not gonna remember the name of them. Pretty much these little wooden pieces that go under the peaks of roofs. If you guys can name it for me, I will love you forever, but I can't remember it right now. But it's those little cute elements, but I feel like those things kind of add a craftsman vibes to it, and so I think that works quite well. I think what I end up doing is on the top floor of these houses, I used these cats and dogs windows because I don't know, they felt very like pristine and almost, I mean, they're not as craftsman-y, but something about like the texture on them and stuff just felt like they worked for these townhouses. And yeah, so I used the cats and dogs windows up top on at least one of them, I think, and then on the bottom floor I used some base game windows. I was honestly gonna use the high school years ones again, but I decided that, you know, I've used them a few too many times and I need to reel it in and, you know, branch out and try some new things. So I ended up going with these base game windows, which are relatively the same to the high school years ones, in the fact that it's kind of separated horizontally and there's like two panes and whatnot, but it's not the actual it's high school years one. Yeah. And so for the top floor of the left hand side house, I'm really starting to confuse myself with all of this. Hopefully you guys are following, but if not, it's okay. I take no offense. But for the left hand side, that house on the top floor, that ends up having base game windows instead of the cats and dogs one, like I said. But the blue house, that one uses, I believe, all cats and dogs. So I don't know why I decided to use two different types of windows on the build, but you know, I did. I don't know if that, I guess, wrecks their cohesiveness. I don't think it does, but I mean, you guys can let me know in a nice way, please. Please don't be rude about it. But yeah, I think I'm still pretty happy with how they turned out. I think where the build really shines is on the interior and like all the little decorations and stuff, and how I furnished each house to really have, I guess, its own kind of character. For the warmer toned house, that house has lots of different clutter. It's very well loved, very much like a family kind of house. And then for the blue house, that ends up having more of a modern approach with, I guess, a bit more minimal decorations, just because I feel like the build kind of called for it that way. I don't know, it wasn't like, I was just imagining it being less of like, well, I guess what is cozy, you know, that's kind of subjective, but to me it was less of a cozy family home vibe and more of like a modern home. if that makes sense. To me, modern homes just naturally aren't the coziest, but I mean, that's just personal experience. I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of cozy modern home out there, but this one is not exactly that. I mean, it's not the worst, honestly. Like, if there was going to be a modern interiored home that I was going to live in, there is worse modern interiors out there. I don't know what I'm saying at this point. Pretty much all I'm saying is it's a modern inside, but I still kind of like it, which means I've done something right, I guess, because usually I don't gravitate towards modern builds. Yeah, but you can see me coming in and adding in the landscaping now. I've put a couple of different trees down, a couple of different plants. I've added in this treehouse like activity which we got from growing together, and honestly I really wish that was in the backyard of the warm toned house, because I think that for storyline purposes it just matches a bit better because they have like a younger kid and the blue house doesn't. So you could definitely swap those around if you wanted. At this point in the build I hadn't decided what house was going to have what decorations, and so that's kind of why the tree ended up on the outside there of the blue house. And yeah, so you do see the landscaping, but I don't end up showing you me doing the, I guess I want to call them backyards, but they're more like side yards. You won't see me do those because I don't know, I didn't really add much and I just kind of didn't record it. I just was really dreading doing these side bits, and so I figured I'd just do them really quickly off camera. And yeah, I don't put anything too crazy. For the warm toned house, I end up putting a swing set, a flower arranging table, and honestly that might be it. And then for the blue toned house, I put a telescope. We've got we have a barbecue back there, and we have the treehouse decorations. And I also forgot to mention, but I am building in the world of San Sequoia today, which is the world we got from growing together. And yeah, the lot I'm building on, I believe, is 23 Eucalyptus Lane, and I think that kind of covers the basics that I forgot to mention way earlier in the video. But yeah, now you can see we have moved on into the first interior, which is going to be for the warm toned house. So like I mentioned, I wanted this house to have a much warmer feel to it, a lot cozier, a lot more family oriented, I guess. Like I wanted it to show that they have like a younger kid, or maybe that their lives are kind of busy so they don't always have time to pick up like bits and pieces and clutter left around, and so the house is just in a very natural state of lived in. And I love that. I think it turned out really cute and really cozy. And yeah, they are quite small interiors, which was honestly pretty fun to decorate because I mean, I don't know, I just think naturally if it's a small area, it's going to be cozy, and it's fun to kind of clutter it up and really make it feel, I guess, lived in. I mean, how many times can I say that? But yeah, just lived in, and like it's super cozy, and they've got all their knickknacks around and stuff. And yeah, so for the entranceway, I put this little, I guess you could call it an ottoman type of thing, or just this little bench where you can sit down and put your shoes on in the morning, or like rest your bag there while you go grab something from the kitchen or something. But that is from City Living. And then I also put some individual pairs of shoes and stuff, which we got from the Dream Home Decorator game pack. And I put this rug from Cats and Dogs and a base game coat rack. And then I also just put a couple of different random pictures on the walls and stuff, like a little bit of a gallery wall type of thing. And then like some dog food and stuff. So right away you kind of understand that A, there's like a lot of people living here, and B, they have a pet, because I don't know, I think it's super cute, and they definitely give like dog family vibes to me. Now for the parents, I couldn't really think of an occupation for these parents, but I do want this house to be for my save files. So if you guys have any ideas on what you think the parents do for a living for either houses, definitely let me know, and I might snatch some of those ideas. But I feel like for this one of them could definitely be like a teacher or something, or maybe they just work like a standard 9 to 5 job for like some corporate company, but that honestly feels more accurate to the house on the right side, the blue house. But for this house, I don't know, I can't really imagine what their professions would be. So yeah, if you guys have ideas for that, please make sure to let me know. But yeah, now we've moved on into the kitchen, so I'll just tell you what I did for the living room out there. So the rug ends up being from Werewolves. I love that rug with all of my heart. Similar to the high school years windows, I use that rug a lot and I would apologize, but it's just such a good rug. I just love it. Yeah, but I think I use that in the less worn looking swatch because there's 2 versions for that rug, where there's one where it's got a lot of different rips and holes and I guess stain marks and stuff, and then there's one that looks a bit more pristine, and I use the more pristine looking one. And then I use a couch which is from City Living. This one you have to unlock through like the flea market, so if you have the City Living expansion pack, sometimes there will be these pop-ups of like flea markets and you can go and purchase items and it'll go into your Sims inventory, and this is one of those items. But we do have this couch as like a base game couch, so it just doesn't have like all the patterns, but the general shape of it and whatnot is base game. But I really liked the mixing of patterns in this room, so I decided to go with that. But of course, if you don't have City Living, you can replace that. And just disclaimer for like both of these builds, I guess it's technically 2, but you guys can replace whatever you feel is necessary. Like really make this build your own. I will take no offense whatsoever. This is just how I kind of envisioned the space, and yeah, if you want to switch it up, by all means go ahead. And yeah, so I also use a cottage living hutch and then just a base game TV. I put like an urn. I wasn't imagining it's an urn. I was kind of just thinking it's a vase of some kind. And then there's also a little taxi car. Maybe one of them's a taxi driver. I don't know. Could be. Not that that's an actual profession in The Sims. Like you can't actually set it so that your Sims work as a taxi driver, but that would be cool. I don't know. I'm still trying to think. I also feel like one of the parents could be a stay-at-home parent. The house was kind of reminding me of like Modern Family. So maybe we have like a real estate agent and a stay-at-home parent. And yeah, that's pretty much the storyline of the like Modern Family situation. So I don't know if I want to go with that, but yeah, if you guys have things that are better ideas, like I said, let me know. And I think that kind of covers everything I used in the living room. Oh yeah, I'm gonna go in and put in these 4 rent curtains within this pretty yellow swatch, which I really liked because I think it just brings in another pattern and color to really make it feel lived in and well loved. And then in the kitchen, I end up using some cottage living curtains with these green and yellow stripes, which I think is really cute. And I really just cluttered that up to the max. There is like pretty much not a single counter free, although there is one counter free because you have to do that for it to be functional. If it's not, I tried to make the counter to the right of the sink, the functional one. But if for some reasons your Sims still can't cook or whatnot, just delete all of the clutter items on that one countertop and you should be okay. But I think the way I've done it is okay, but once again, if it's not, you'll just have to delete all the clutter items on top of that one. Like, well, it can be that one or it can be the other one if you don't want it to be as cluttered, but pretty much you'll just need one counter free of clutter to have it be functional if it isn't already. And yeah, so I did that. I also put their little dining room in there. I used just a base game circular round table and I think the chairs are from Cats and Dogs. Yeah, they are. In like a yellowy tone swatch, which I think was super cute. And I also, you won't see me at it, or maybe you will, but I also end up putting a laundry and dryer in there in that little nook by the table there, so your Sims do have a space to do laundry and whatnot. And yeah, so now I have moved on into the upstairs portion of this build, and I quickly did the bathroom. I think the bathroom's super cute. I use actually I think I switch it to just a base game shower, but I use a Horse Ranch what is it called, sink? Yeah, Horse Ranch sink, and just a base game toilet, but I think it's really cute with all the clutter I use. I recently got the bathroom clutter kit and I love it so much, and so I definitely used a lot of items from there to really kind of make it feel lived in. And yeah, so then I moved on into the parents' bedroom, and for there I ended up using the bed which we got from Seasons, and honestly I never used that bed. I don't know if I've ever used it, like I don't know if I've ever had a phase where I've used it a lot, but I don't think I did. But I feel like it just worked really well in this room. I really liked all the brown tones and stuff, and yeah, it just felt very like cozy. But sometimes to me it looks like sleeping bag material, and I think that's why I'm not always gravitated towards it. But I think it worked in this build here. And then I also used a rug from Horse Ranch and this big mirror which we got from the basement kit, and then also just a little hutch thing which I think happens to be a dresser, and I'm pretty sure that's from the For Rent expansion pack. That's also something I got recently. It sounds like I got a lot of things recently, but this has been over the span of like a month or two, because I say recently because I haven't like fully used all the items quite yet, and yeah, I talked about it in my long plays and stuff, but I'm still really loving all of the items and stuff, and there's been like a lot of sales recently, and so I've been able to buy a couple of things. And first of all, the reason I'm able to purchase these things is because of you guys, so thank you so much for watching the videos and just supporting me. I really do appreciate it, and I am so grateful. Yeah, so that's my spiel about the, I don't know, my packs and the parents' bedroom. There's really not too much going on in the parents' bedroom. I mean, whenever I do parents' bedrooms, they're not usually the most decorated. I feel like they typically lack the most personality, but I guess the rest of the personality is reflected in the house, if that makes sense. So next you will have seen me do the kids' room. And so for the kids' room, I used the Horse Ranch bed. I used this dining table, which we got from the For Rent expansion pack, because it was the only like semi-simple square counter I could find, which is really crazy that we don't have just like some standard like, I don't know, 4x4 square wooden table. We have one with glass in it, like a glass pane, but I didn't want that for a desk, and so I just ended up going with this one, which still is maybe a little too fancy for a kid's room, but it's the best I could do, and so I just went with it. And then yeah, I just put a whole bunch of different clutter items. I was thinking, what was I thinking about this time? Oh yeah, I was thinking that they're really big into like writing letters, and they have a pen pal, and so on their desk you'll see lots of different crafting items, and then also the cork board with all of the different postcards and stuff to kind of show that they have like a pen pal and they like writing a lot and they're back and forth. Maybe their pen pal like lives overseas or whatnot, but they're really good at like keeping up with that and writing all the letters, which I think is such a super cute idea. And one thing about this house is I'm super proud with how cohesive it looks. Usually when it comes to kids' bedrooms and the rest of the house, they kind of stick out like a sore thumb, but I found I was able to make them look really cohesive with both floors. Like if you do a top-down view, it really looks cohesive, which I'm super happy with. It's very rare that that happens because usually I'm more focused on the personality, but in this case I was focused on the personality and the colors just kind of worked with the rest of the build, which I think was great. And yeah, so the last room that I finished in that house was for the teenager, and so I gave them a bit more of, I don't want to say eclectic because that's not necessarily what it is, but I guess like more unique almost. I don't really know the word that I'm looking for, but pretty much I just wanted there to be like a bunch of different colors and a bunch of different patterns, and I think that I executed that pretty well. And I put the bed which we got from Horse Ranch in like that default swatch, which I don't tend to use a lot, but I think it worked really well. And then I used the dresser from high school years that's got all of these cute little stickers on it, and I used the slightly broken dirty lamp which we got from the basement treasures kit, and I just put any piece of clutter I could find on top of that dresser. A lot of it is from the high school years expansion pack, and then I also put like a bucket of vinyls, and I put a little ottoman with I don't know what I put beside it, I think the vinyls are beside the ottoman, but I just wanted it to be like that's the stool they sit on if they're like opening their window to talk to the teenager next door. And yeah, you will have seen that I put a couple of different post-it notes on the door, or not the door, sorry, the window, to make it look like the sign that in the, if you haven't seen the music video, that she like holds up and it like says things and the person in the other house is reading what the sign says, kind of like that. But I was thinking it's similar to that, where they've just like put up post-it notes saying like hi, or like meet me minima, like so this place. And yeah, so I'm really happy with how that ended up coming out. And I think that kind of covers everything in there. I think I also put like a little laundry hamper, a mirror, and a desk, which I tried to put a lot of different craft supplies on so you can kind of get the sense of what what they're into and things like that. So I've now moved on into the last house of the speed build, which is the blue house, and you will have seen that I've already done the entranceway. That little table I used is from Growing Together, like that little entranceway table. And then I also was gonna give them a closet, but I think in the end I decided to swap it out for something, but what that is I can't remember. You will have seen it, but I have forgotten already because I was talking about other things and my brain was just not registering what was happening on the screen. But instantly you can see that there's definitely a different switch in the tone and whatnot. I use a darker toned flooring and a grayer wallpaper. Even though I use the same wallpaper and flooring in the other house, I just use different swatches in this house. And yeah, so for the living room, I end up using the Dream Home Decorator sofa, a rug which we got from City Living. I end up using a stand-up piano, which is from Growing Together as well. And I was thinking that one of the parents in this house is a piano teacher at like the high school or something. I was thinking, yeah, well, that's all I was thinking. There's not really more to that sentence. I don't know why I added like a build up as if there's going to be something more. I was just thinking they're a piano teacher at the high school. And then for the other one, I'm thinking they probably just work like a corporate job, like a 9 to 5 or something. And yeah, so I did the living room quickly. There's not too much to say about their living room. Oh, I used a Growing Together fireplace. It's a pretty small area, and I tried not to clutter it up too much because I didn't think that this would be a very cluttered home. And then I also did the dining room, and in the dining room, which I kind of need the camera to spin around so I can tell you the dining room table I used. Oh yeah, I used the one which is from sometimes the Sims team does these collaborations with CC creators and will make them like permanent items in the game, and so that's what this is. The table and chairs is like a CC creators addition to the game, and they are so beautiful, but I never get the chance to use them because again they're a bit more like modern. Not the table's just like a standard table, which thank goodness, but the chairs are not in a style that I would usually gravitate towards, or like one that I build often at least. And so yeah, I got the chance to use it for this one, which I think was super nice. And then right below that I used a rug from the For Rent expansion pack. And then the kitchen kind of ends up being like monochromatic as well. For this whole build, I kind of went for a blue, gray, and white color scheme and tried to communicate that throughout the whole build. And for the kitchen, it's, no exception to the rule. I end up using these counters, which we got from For Rent. I haven't had the chance to use them yet, and I honestly really love them. There's definitely some other counters that maybe could have worked better for a modern take, but I still wanted there to be a little bit of character, and I felt like these counters were a very good in between. And I really liked the stone countertops. I don't know if it's actual like stone or marble or whatnot, but I really enjoyed those, and I feel like it worked well with the idea I was trying to give. And yeah, so it's kind of an odd layout in there because the shape of the kitchen was very strange, but it should be totally functional. And if it's not, I'm not entirely sure. Maybe just leave me a comment and say which part isn't working, and then I can go in and play test it for you. But yeah, I'm kind of bad at play testing my builds before I put them up on the gallery. But if there is any ever issues with that, you can just like shoot me a little comment on the video where, you know, there's an issue, and then I will see what I can do for you. But yeah, I just put a couple of different random clutter items on the surfaces of the countertops, and that was kind of it for the kitchen. There is no dining room in there because there's a separate room, but there is the washer and dryer like in the other house, so that's super handy. And yeah, so now I have done the bathroom. The bathroom isn't anything too crazy. It just ends up having a tub, a shower. I use the new shower, which we got from For Rent. I say new, but honestly the For Rent expansion pack is getting kind of old now that we have like 2 new ones after that. As this is going up, the Life and Death expansion pack is finally out. Also, let me know your thoughts on that, because I have not purchased it because I will be waiting for it to go on sale if I ever do purchase it. But also I'm just not really sure if it's my cup of tea, like if it speaks to me or not. But I have seen some of the items and they are really beautiful. So I'm kind of on the fence, but if you guys have purchased it and like played with it, and more importantly built with it, because that's what I use the packs for. I don't do much gameplay. So if you guys have built with it before, let me know your thoughts on it and if you think it's worth investing in, because I would love to know. But yeah, for now we have moved on into the parents' bedroom. I'm using a bed from Dream Home Decorator. This little dresser here is from For Rent. The rug is from City Living. The mirror is from Jungle Adventure. And then on the side, the little side table there, those are from Growing Together, by the way. I decided to put these little cards, which kind of look like anniversary cards that maybe like their partner has written to them, and I thought that was super cute. And then I'm also just decorating their little desk here. I feel like putting a desk in the bedroom is a very like teenager thing to do, but I didn't have another room to put it in, and I feel like, you know, you make do with what you've got. So I was thinking maybe if they had to do some work from home or like work on a lesson plan, they could use the desk in there. And yeah, I just figured this house needed some type of computer, and so that's what I ended up doing. It's kind of like gray in there and monochromatic, but again, that's the color scheme for this whole house. I think with both of these houses, I end up doing a very good job of like making the whole house feel cohesive, bedrooms and all. And so I'm pretty proud of that. But now we have moved on into the last and final room of this build, which ends up being for the teenager who also writes letters or like draws pictures for their neighbor. And yeah, I think these two are in love. Maybe they don't know it yet, but maybe one of them knows it, but they're too scared to tell the other, or they both know it, but they're both too scared to tell each other. I don't know, it could be something like that, but I do think they definitely have a crush on each other. And yeah, so for this room, I just tried to go with like anything blue goes kind of vibe, and so I used this bed from high school years, a high school years dresser, a horse ranch rug, and then just a couple of different knickknacks. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and leave it here for this video since we're pretty much done. If you guys have enjoyed it, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for some future content. And yeah, if you have any comments or suggestions, things you want to see me build, make sure you leave it in the comments down below, and I will try my best to get back to you. And yeah, thank you guys so much for all the love recently. I really do appreciate it, and hopefully I'll see you all in my next speed building video. Bye guys.